Why am I sacrificing quite literally everything in my life to follow this path of entertaining and telling stories?
Joe, you said you've obsessed about being a filmmaker. What does this mean? What does this look like?
What does obsession about being a filmmaker mean? Great question. I think I love the process of telling stories, and I also love the sort of, I guess you could say, science behind building a movie, from using the camera gear and the lighting gear and everything to your disposal to like build a world, shoot the world, edit the world. I'm a big post guy. Like, I love editing. I started on 2 VCRs when I was a kid, editing the movies back when I was 8, 9 years old, and now obviously not doing that anymore. But yeah, so an obsession is just to the actual craft of the process of working with actors, of thinking of something and finding a way to bring it to the screen. And then there's an obsession to also entertain. And growing up, I was an actor and a professional magician in high school. I worked at Outback Steakhouse doing magic tricks on the weekend for 3 years, and I did whatever, all the magic stuff I could do and all the acting I could do in theater. And I love entertaining audiences, and I think my favorite way of probably entertaining an audience to a certain extent is to make something that they can watch on the screen and absorb through filmmaking, through storytelling, through movies.
Well, you're also a mind reader, because that was my next question, and that was, you had said in an LA Times article, maybe other places, that if you don't entertain people, that is your purpose, that it's almost like you feel you're not as content.
Yeah.
How is that for you? I mean, is this a daily thing? I know you do YouTube videos and things like that, but
Sure.
What does that mean to be this entertainer? And if you can't entertain, you don't feel fulfilled?
Yeah, love that question. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I'm 41 years old. I've been doing this for a while. I've been doing a lot of reflecting on life lately, and I am asking myself a little bit, what is this thing that I have inside me that I'm trying to get out? Or why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I sacrificing quite literally everything in my life to follow this path of entertaining and telling stories and of quality, and spoiler alert, I'm single, no kids. I'm teaching film school part-time, which I love and we'll talk about. And, I'm taking the bus to work right now because my car just died. But I'm still just like so motivated to go down this path of like entertaining, telling stories, making movies. And I do bring a lot of this to my life. I love comedy. I love humor. I love, making observations of life that brings people together. And I think that's in my work. I think that's in how I teach my students at the film school at NYFA here. I think this is how I articulate just myself, just with my friends. I think they would agree with this. I think that humor and finding the humor in life in a very positive light kind of breaks this sort of like ice that we're all standing on and sort of tiptoeing around in terms of, everyone's got their own insecurities. Everyone's got their own thoughts. Everyone's frankly judging themselves a lot, or at least maybe I am. But I think it's one of those things that like I always take it upon myself, and I don't know. This is what I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know like why I do this, or if it's past lives, if you believe in that stuff or whatever. But like for some reason, I'm always finding myself being the person, and I enjoy doing it, where I can bring a little levity and relatability to anyone and try to bring people together. That's sort of just a vibe I have, and I think through entertaining and comedy and kind of being vocal, I succeed hopefully in doing that.
And with obsession, as we open the question, being obsessed and being a filmmaker, do you think that without obsession, that projects don't get made?
Yes, without obsession, projects do not get made. Especially at the level where I'm working right now, which is like a pure independent filmmaking level, where there is no deadline set by a studio, there's no pressure from an agent or a manager calling you. It's literally me deciding I'm going to do something, I'm going to stick to doing it, I'm going to get it to completion because I really am obsessed to do that, and I want to do that. And so when you're working in that environment, it absolutely falls on you. There's times in my life where I've had years go by where I wasn't maybe doing it as much for other reasons that we can talk about, but when it's time to commit to doing something, and that's where I kind of fall. It's like, once I know what the mission is for me, once I understand, all right, this is actually what I want to do, I'm ready, I decided what I want to do next, I jump right in and I get a little obsessed about it, and I do think you need that.
Is there a dark side to the obsession?
Yes. Is there a dark side to obsession? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the dark side, yes, there is a dark side to the obsession, and the dark side of the obsession is understanding how to live with it, because it's not going to go away, especially if this is what you want to do for your career, for your life, but it's about balance. And so I think one thing that I've really been focusing on over the last maybe 20 years, I mean, is just understanding how to incorporate this lifestyle into my life. Like, how do I incorporate this obsession for wanting to make movies into a place where it doesn't stop me from living life? I think when I was younger, high school, college, early mid-20s, late 20s, even kind of coming out to Hollywood and getting into some TV directing a little bit and stuff like that, I was like putting everything aside. I was putting, maybe going on vacation aside, or dating, or this or that, or whatever it was. I was like, as soon as I get my career here, then I can start living my life. And you get to a certain point where you realize this is life happening right now. And so because of that, to live in that obsession and put everything on pause for this one thing is not sustainable. And, maybe that's why also there's a lot of artists who don't live long lives, because there is an obsession that takes over them, and they burn out quickly. And I did feel a burnout, and we can talk about this too at some point, where in my late 20s I felt like I burned out in the industry. I left my agent and manager and started teaching film school. I came to NYFA and said, hey, are you guys hiring? I'd love to teach film. I wanted to get back into the classroom and get back to studying the craft, because I felt a burnout from the obsession that I had been carrying for so long. And hopefully that sort of answers the question, but yeah.
It does. And there's lifestyles to having a 9-to-5 job, and then you just consume on the weekends.
Right.
And that's its own downfall. So I think each pursuit has its own sort of lifestyle and obsessions. And so if so much of your obsession is, I want to do this story and I've got to, these characters are interesting, I don't know if that's such a bad thing, but.
No, I agree with that. I mean, people say this. I've heard this many times. People are like, if you have a plan B in life, you're going to take the plan B, a backup plan, so to speak. And there's nothing else I want to do other than what I'm doing, which is make movies and tell stories and entertain. So the name of the game is not whether or not this is, I'm past the point of maybe questioning if I ever did, is this right for me? Is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? It's now the point of like, okay, how do I design a path to success in the environment that we're currently in? And that environment changes drastically every few years. I mean, now Hollywood is, the film industry is completely a different place now in 2025 than it was, in 2015 or 2010 when I was kind of leaving grad school and getting into it. So I think you have to pivot. I think you have to I think you have to study where things are at. I think you have to understand where things are at. And then I think you have to keep kind of navigating a path in this new terrain to kind of keep going down and finding your success, which is exciting, scary, a ton of work. But the more you do it, I think the more you do find comfort and confidence in it.
You got into the Directors Guild in your 20s, is that right?
Yeah, I joined the DGA. I was probably, I think, 28. I had booked a TV show for Adult Swim. It was a live-action comedy, like a fake news show called Newsreaders, Rob Corddry's show. And it was super fun. Had a great opportunity to direct 3 episodes for that show. And by directing that show, I got into the DGA through that.
Were you happy at that time? Was it fulfilling?
Great question. Was I happy at that time? Yeah, I mean, look, I was excited. I was young. I had just come out of grad school, AFI, a few years prior. So to be kind of in this world in my late 20s, directing TV, working with some of my favorite comedic actors that I grew up with, super exciting. I think where I got a little pushed back on it, or where I got a little maybe less excited, was finding myself in a position on a path that I didn't feel like I totally fit on, meaning, I don't think my strength is just being a TV director. And I don't say that to be, there's some people who are great at it, whatever, but I didn't feel like I was actually able to bring my whole value to the process. And maybe a lot of people who direct TV feel this way, right? It's a little bit more of like a job for hire to a certain extent, where you're making sure the show goes well and you're communicating the notes to the actors and you're working with the producers and you're just making sure that the shots are done, the scenes are done, and you get the episode. I mean, maybe that's part of it. I was really young. It was my first TV job, and I felt a little like, even though it was fun, I did feel at times, what am I doing here? I don't feel like I'm actually bringing a ton of value to this process, and maybe it's because I'm young and so forth, but I just felt like I wasn't bringing what I feel like I have to offer. And so it did sort of throw me in a little bit of a headspace of like, maybe this isn't actually the right path for me. And it was after doing a couple of these other directing for hire TV shows. I did the Adult Swim one. I did a couple other things for a couple other places, and it did sort of make me be like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. And even though it was a little scary, I did end up kind of ejecting from that situation. I kind of respectfully left my agent and manager at the time and said I need to like sort of hit the reset button, hit the pause button, hit the reset button, and left the industry, and left my agent manager for a second. Contacted NYFA, said I would love to teach film school, and came in, applied, was lucky enough to get hired, and I've been teaching here for about 11 years as an associate professor, teaching directing, and I love it. And it really has allowed me to kind of reground myself into the craft of filmmaking, which I felt like I was losing in the professional world in my 20s. And I don't totally blame the industry. I blame myself as well. I think you get caught up in why is my agent and manager maybe not calling me, or how do I get, I wasn't focused on the craft. I wasn't focused on writing as much as I was. It was after I left my agent and manager in my 30s where I wrote maybe a dozen screenplays, feature films, that I was like just trying to be a better writer. Had I been writing stuff maybe in my 20s more, when I actually had a big manager that could take the script out, things would be different. But I just, there's no manual on how to do this. There's no playbook. It's sort of like you got to figure out as you go, and you got to trust your gut. And I do try to stand by that, where it's just like, trust your gut. If I'm in a position or I'm on a path where I just don't feel this is totally where I'm supposed to be, I am someone who does hit the eject button. Some people sometimes linger in that spot for many years and just kind of go with it, which is fine too. Maybe that's even better. But if I feel like, all right, this isn't it, I pretty quickly like to pivot and go to a different direction and just figure it out.
Did anyone talk you out of it and say, "Look, are you kidding me? Like you're not even 30 yet. You have an agent manager. You're directing. Do you want to think about this? Take a weekend?"
It's a great question. I wish. I wish.
No. Okay, no.
I wish because I wish back then. There was a lot of regret that comes. It wasn't a very simple time for me. I was regretful in the sense that like maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have ejected from the industry the way I did and kind of left my agent and manager thinking, oh, I can just come back whenever I want. And that's just not how the system works. It's not how Hollywood works. It's not how the industry works. And so I had to learn that tough lesson, and I had to kind of be okay with my decision of doing what I did. And yeah, I mean, look, the therapy bills went through the roof, but I worked it out. But no, joking aside, yeah, it's tough, and no one did really talk me out of it. I kind of wish maybe I had more of a mentor who maybe I could have bounced things off. There's something that, and if I can give advice to those watching, write the email, but you don't have to send the email, okay? Write the email, sleep on it. I in my later years here now in my 40s, pausing and taking a breath or sleeping on something, as I like to say, I'll sleep on it, has become a big part of my lifestyle and the way I kind of operate now, which I think there's a maturity in that of just taking a break. Being, you can feel this way, but just sleep on it. Make sure you feel this way with, a fresh mind in the morning or whatever it is. Maybe talk to a couple friends and family that you really trust, and you don't have to just quickly hit that send button or quickly make those, decisions in the heat of the moment. I think that's something that you do learn as the journey goes on.
Sure, but and then there's also at some certain age, then you may start acquiring obligations, and you can't leave something that it's not culture fit.
Right.
You're not meant. Not all of us are meant for A, B, or C. Maybe we're meant for, G over here or 100%. E or whatever. It's so, not to, discount your decision, but I just was curious just because, yeah.
No,
anyway,
I get your question. I love that question because this is sort of what I'm saying earlier, where it's just like everyone's path is different. Like quite literally, every single person's path, every single person's story is totally different. And even though we can look at each other's paths, or I can see something in Deadline that, someone I knew got a huge TV deal at Apple, or they sold a script for $1 million, or this or that, and you can feel like, oh, I want that too. And it's okay to strive for success. You don't want it to eat you up, and you have to just, again, I think this comes with just sort of like aging and life and maturity to a certain extent of just like realizing that everyone's path is different. And so what's good for one person may not be right for this person right now or right for me right now. And so I can only listen to what my path is. And that's what I'm trying to do. I don't have 2 kids at home that are relying on me to just stick it out and get to set the next day and direct. I've purposely put myself in that position, maybe I'd love to be a dad one day, maybe not. We'll see. We'll see what the universe has in store for me. But I'm an uncle. I'm a fun uncle, Uncle Joey,
nice.
with my niece and nephew, Astra and Malin. So I love being an uncle. But yeah, it's just like you got to figure out what's best for you and make those choices. But you want to be responsible. Yeah, I think that's sort of the nature of your question is like, look, just to like eject from everything and not have any stability of doing what you need to do to kind of maybe be responsible. I'm not suggesting that. I think you do want to be responsible. I'm just saying that part of the responsibility is to trust yourself and find your right path and not let the outside influence take over you, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does. It does. And it sounds like you've honed your own voice, and it's easy to have all these different voices in your ear. And so I commend you for that. That's not an easy thing.
I appreciate that. My mom's a life coach, so she imparted a lot of this
Nice.
stuff on me. No, it's true. I mean, look, I don't, again, it's sort of back to like what we were saying earlier where it's like, where does this all come from? I don't know. I think I don't know, but I think it's just like, I'm trying to honor the qualities that I have in my life and who I am, and just like if I can pause and just say, hey, I'm going to go back one step here and say, I think when I was younger, I think I sort of maybe did not 100% go for my best because maybe I was almost embarrassed to do so. And I think people feel that way where it's like, I don't want to overly shine, or I don't want to, be the one who sticks out in a way that people maybe resent you or this or that. And I think we can all, in our own ways, relate to that idea. And I think there's a little bit of like, again, I keep saying as you get older, I don't know if this makes me sound old or maybe it's just the way life works, but I think there's something with just like time that you kind of do something long enough, you start to realize, okay, I don't want to stop myself in what I feel like I'm capable of doing. I just want to do it in a way that is sort of allowing me to digest it in a very understated way. It's not about, it's about me versus me almost, or maybe not even versus me, but like it's like just what can you do? Like what do I have to offer? How can I be my best self to contribute to the others, right? So to speak. It's not a competition with anyone else. And I think when you're young, you sort of, especially when you're in film school, and you're like, I want to make the best movie and the best, and like it's cool to have drive. It's cool to want to challenge yourself. I love the Quentin Tarantino, Paul Thomas Anderson little rivalry that's only going on one side, which is in Quentin's head. PTA's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And Quentin's like, damn, PTA did it again. I got it, But like, it's like whatever drives you, great. Keep it healthy. But I think there is like, anyways, I'm rambling a little bit, but that's sort of my point.
No, I get it. And there is that mentality. And if you can find your own peace with this is what I want to do and I feel good with it, then great. And we're going to talk more about Burt in a little bit. Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Here is a complimentary question from our book Story Questions.